Happy Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome to the Simpademic. This is Jason, and I have an interesting one here. This one's actually for the ladies in terms of advice and thoughts that are concerned. As far as the challenge is concerned, it's for the men. So, without further ado, I'm going to go in, and this is for when a guy tells a woman that he would move heaven and earth for her. And the challenge is both a question and a point. And that question is whenever a man says this to a woman, the question a woman needs to be asking is, if you're willing to move heaven and earth for me, what have you done for yourself? And it's an important question because if a man is saying this type of thing to a woman to try to get her attention or even as a subtle simping method, you need to ask that person, what have they done for themselves? Because if they're not capable of moving heaven and earth for themselves, they're not capable of doing it for you. And I can answer this question with a straight face because I am a cult survivor of a major American cult. I took an adverse situation, being socially shunned within said cult, and leveraged that to one of my greatest traits and strengths to this day. And that's the ability to connect and network with people. They cut me off from social relationships within the group, so I did what I naturally had to do as my only option, and that was to seek it from outside of the group, which resulted in some rather interesting implications down the road, in that I had a second life outside of the cult that nobody inside of it knew about. This happened during my years in Fargo, North Dakota. I got connected and got to at least be acquainted with 3 men who eventually became billionaires. Men who are power brokers within the community. This became a massive advantage for me, which I continue to utilize to this date. I don't need anybody to help me to find a network because I have my own. So that's one thing I've done for myself. Another thing, of course, I mentioned here before, I am a survivor of a near-fatal traumatic brain injury/infection. This happened 4 years ago in 2021. And I have survived that. Not only survived that, but also done the rehab, starting right there in the hospital, in the neuro ICU, being pushed by a nurse who I jokingly called Nurse Lombardi because she is a Green Bay Packers fan. And to this day, I would say I have about 90% of my physical capabilities back. Now, in other things, that particular cult took me out of the bowling world. I had to give that up in the early 1990s when I was recruited in there. So what am I doing now? I've returned to the sport. I'm back in a league. I'm back building equipment, or looking at getting new equipment, and trying to build my physical strength and coordination and equilibrium to fit that particular pursuit and game. Do I have a specific goal at this point? No. But I'm moving heaven and earth to get back into that game and to enjoy it. And I was inspired by somebody who I had met at a women's tour event, who inspired me to do this. A professional bowler by the name of Verity Crawley. She said to go for it and to do this. and I've joined her social community, and still get responses and comments from her to this day. Again, building connections, using that, getting equipment recommendations, things that will help me, and then also helping her by cheering for her and her friends at the PWBA tournament here in the Twin Cities last spring. So can I move heaven and earth for a woman? Yes, absolutely, because I've done it for myself. If any woman out there is watching this and they've been told by a man that they're going to do this for them, you need to ask them, what have you done for yourself? Because if that man cannot move heaven and earth for himself, he cannot do it for you. So it's both a critique and a question, and some handy advice I have to offer to the women out there. Because if they can't answer that question for themselves, they're not going to be able to do it for you. And if you know that now, you're going to save yourself a lot of frustration and trouble down the road. So anyway, this is Jason and the Simpademic. I had that just really stark thought last night, and I thought I'd come here this morning and share it with everybody. Thank you for following me. If you have any comments about this, please share them below. And also please hit the subscribe button, because I've only got about 45 some odd followers, and I appreciate every one of you. I thank you so much for whatever support you give. And I say, have yourselves a great weekend. Move heaven and earth for yourself. Take care and God bless.